Hi everybody, thank you for coming this morning. My name is John Bash. I'm the United States Attorney for the Western District of Texas, which covers Austin, San Antonio, all the way over to El Paso. I want to thank the local media for coming out today. We have a really important message to the public here where we're trying to get information on potential victims of serious alleged sexual offenses. I also want to thank Chief Todd Radford of Lakeway Police Department for hosting us today. This new facility, they just moved in here this year, and it's really, can't see it all, but it's a really nice facility. Just so you know who's behind me before we get into the substance, two of our assistant United States attorneys that are working this case, Karthik Srinivasan and Keith Henneke, are both behind me. Travis County District Attorney Margaret Moore, whose office has been closely involved in our investigation in our case, is behind me as well. John Scott, Assistant Special Agent in Charge from the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Austin office. I already mentioned Chief Radford. Also Detective Mary Proctor, who has been working this case for a long time, is here. Gary Cutler, Sheriff of Hays County. From the Austin Police Department, our great Austin Police Department, Jennifer Stevenson, Robert Miljenovich, Will Wright, and Rusty Wyrich. From the Bee Cave Police Department, William Pittman and Ryan Halley. From the Travis County Sheriff's Office, Willie Taylor and Tom Szymanski. And from the Center for Child Protection of Travis County, Cindy Cantu and Tara Powdrill. Each of those agencies played a big role in what we're about to announce today. So today we're announcing a 52-count federal indictment against a man named Luann Fabric Campos Leao Hida. Hida's the key name, that's his last name. He's also been known as just Luann Hida, as Luann Leao, or as LOTR, which is an acronym, L-O-T-R, which we take to stand for Lord of the Rings, L-O-T-R, LOTR. The indictment has 52 counts of child pornography production, that means actually using children to produce child pornography, distribution and possession of child pornography. He was indicted federally back on June 18th, but that indictment was under seal. We unsealed the indictment yesterday when he made his initial appearance in Austin before Magistrate Judge Andrew Austin. Just to get this out of the way, an indictment is just an allegation of guilt. It's not evidence of guilt. He still needs to, he's not guilty until he either pleads guilty or is proven guilty to a jury, to make that clear. The acts alleged in the indictment involve 15 alleged victims. Those victims are boys between the age of 12 and 17, or they were at the time of the alleged abuse. They come from all over our community, from Lakeway, from Travis County, from Hays County. And the indictment alleges they were involved in the production of child pornography. They were victims of the production of child pornography at the hands of the defendant, Hida. This investigation was conducted with numerous law enforcement partners. I already mentioned the Travis County District Attorney's Office, the Hays County District Attorney's Office, the Hays County Sheriff's Office, the Bee Cave Police Department, Austin Police Department, and Lakeway Police Department, and of course the Center for Child Protection of Travis County. We thank them for their assistance. The reason we're holding a press conference today is we are concerned there may be more victims. We know there are unidentified victims that we have seen but don't know who they are. There may be numerous other victims that we do not know about. And what we are doing is asking the community and the public, if you know any children who have been victimized or who you suspect might have been victimized by Hida, please contact the authorities, please contact the FBI. FBI Special Agent Scotta is going to come up here in a second and give contact information for how to report this to the FBI. So we really want to find out if there were more victims out there to help these victims and to make sure justice is achieved for those victims. For our Spanish speakers out there, si cree que su hijo o su hija ha sido una víctima de este hombre, por favor llame a las autoridades. This case began with local investigations. So it goes to show how our partners at the local and state level can really produce important federal prosecutions. Oftentimes these prosecutions don't start with the FBI, they don't start with the DA, they start with our local police departments like the Lakeway Police Department, the Austin Police Department, the Bee Cave Police Department, and then it turns out you open up into something much larger that goes federal. So I really want to thank all our local partners. Our top priority is the safety of our children, and in this kind of case, you're not necessarily going to find evidence on devices of every victim. You're not going to find evidence in emails of every victim. You really need the public to come forward. So you're a parent and you think your child might have had contact of an inappropriate nature with this man, Hida, please contact local authorities. With that, I will turn it over to Assistant Special Agent in Charge, John Scotta from the FBI.
Thanks. Good morning. On behalf of the FBI, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all of our partners who have worked so hard on this investigation. You can see, the folks assembled behind us. This case has taken a significant amount of time to get to the point that we have a 52-count indictment. Now, the U.S. Attorney just laid out what those charges look like, and as shocking as the number of victims are that we know about at this point, we're concerned that there are still other victims out there. And that's why we're here today, to let the public know, Mr. Hida, if you've had any contact with him, if you feel that your kids may have had contact with him, to please contact the FBI. We will then ensure that our victim specialists, who are really great at helping people come to terms with the fact that they have been a victim, and get them the help, you and your family, the help that you're going to need. We also understand it's really difficult to come forward when you have been a victim of a crime, but it's important to do so. And behind me is information on how you can get in touch with us, but the reason it's important to come forward is so you can get the help that you're going to need, and also so Mr. Hida can be held accountable for all of his crimes. What he's looking at with the charges today is very significant, but we want to ensure that we have a full understanding of his criminal activity and that there aren't still people out there who are victims of it. Thank you.
And now we're going to bring to the podium Chief Radford from the Lakeway Police Department.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the City of Lakeway, and on behalf of the citizens of Lakeway and Lakeway Police Department, welcome. It's unfortunate that we have to meet today on such an occasion, but this case does epitomize what it means to work together collaboratively to come together for what victims need. So, as both speakers before me have stated, if you have come in contact with this individual or you believe your kids have, please do not hesitate. Call so we can get you the help that you need. And again, on behalf of the citizens of Lakeway, also on behalf of Lieutenant David Law and also his CID staff who worked this case, and Detective Mary Proctor, who is the lead investigator, we're thankful we could get done what we could do, and we appreciate all the help that our partners have given us.
So now we'll open it up for questions in just a second. I just want to note that the FBI has set up a dedicated email address. We'll get that out to the media and to probably put it on social media so people know what it is. I'm trying to see if I have it right here. I don't have it in front of me, but we have a dedicated email address that people can email. There's also another mechanism where you can submit information confidentially. Or the easiest thing, just call the Lakeway Police Department, call the Austin Police Department, and say that you have information. Any way you can do, please get that information to authorities. Bear in mind that a lot of times, speaking generally, victims of child sexual abuse don't maybe know they're a victim, especially if they're very young. They may have been under the influence of drugs or alcohol during the victimization, and so they may not fully appreciate that they were victims. And so if you're a parent and your child is having private contact with the defendant in this case, please contact authorities and let authorities figure out what's going on. With that, I'll open it up to some questions, bearing in mind that because this is pre-trial, there's a lot that we're not going to be at liberty to say in this setting.
Sheriff Cutler, could we talk to you for a moment? Yes, sir. It's my understanding that this started on the local level, came out of Hayes County in regards to a complaint. Is that how, am I reading that right? Did it start with y'all?
It came out as suspicious circumstances called the Hayes County Sheriff's Office. That's how it was initiated.
And as your staff was starting to peel this onion,
That's when we called in other agencies because it was getting big. It was scattered to other multiple jurisdictions involved.
I don't remember seeing anything this large in Hayes County.
I don't recall any.
What is the example here, and what is your call to other local small law enforcement?
But two things. This is a perfect example that there's sexual predators in our community that prey upon our kids, our children. Another thing we need to point out is social media. I would encourage all parents to please watch the social media on your children's phones. Keep an eye on your communications they're having out there. A lot of social media was used in this investigation, which we cannot go into the investigation, but I would encourage all parents to watch the social media contacts with their children. Thank you.
And please bear in mind, although this started in Hayes County, we're at least aware of victims in Travis County, and this person may have contacted victims as far away as Williamson County, Bell County, maybe other counties we don't know about. So it started as an investigatory matter in Hayes County, but it may go much further than that.
That was my next question in regards to, how big of a radius do you think that this guy's has?
Those are the counties that we suspect might have been involved, but it could be much further. So we want, hopefully this message will reach far and wide, and we'll get contacts if they exist from as far as your offices can carry this.
Are the 15 boys in total of who you have been able to see on these videotapes, and we haven't identified all 15?
No, so there's 3 classes really. There's the class that we've been able to identify, there's the class that we've seen but not been able to identify, and then there's all the unknowns.
So what are those numbers? Where's that 15? The 15 falls into, we have identified 15?
The 15 falls into we have identified 15, that's right.
And how many more do we know that there are, but we haven't been?
I don't know the answer to that. Approximately 20.
20.
20 more. That's right, 20 more.
When we first reported this, we were going off an affidavit saying that he was performing, or he was, providing them with these pins and alcohol in exchange for sexual favors. Does that mean, are you guys able to say whether in any of these videos they were performing these sexual acts on him?
Can't go into that level of detail right now. Sorry.
Can you say whether any of these cases?
All I can say is that this sort of charge at issue in this case, production of child pornography, would encompass that kind of conduct.
It would.
It could encompass that conduct depending on the facts of the case, but it could encompass other conduct as well.
But you can't say whether they perform sexual acts on him at all.
Just because this hasn't gone to a jury yet, we don't want to talk about the evidence at this point.
Okay.
How exactly did he meet his victims?
Again, I think that's stuff that's going to be presented to the jury. It's going to be relevant to the jury's deliberation. I know it's frustrating for us to come and hold a press conference and not say any facts, but we want to be very careful not to prejudice anything that's going to go on in the trial.
Is he luring with vape?
Again, we don't want to prejudice anything that's going to go on in the trial. I can say generally, not about this defendant, but as a matter of sexual predators generally, the sheriff is exactly right. Social media is a fertile ground to lure children. It's not always monitored by parents. You can start up conversations innocuously and then lure children into dangerous situations. So it's certainly an area of focus for us, for the FBI, for local authorities, social media.
Has anyone filled out this online questionnaire that the FBI has, or is it brand new?
It's new. To my knowledge, no one has filled it out yet in connection with this case. So.
Margaret, can I ask you a real quick question? Since there's so many, have you dedicated any staff to do any kind of cross-referencing in regards to active cases since this is federal, excuse me, since it's federal, it's all going to be prosecuted by them, but are you dedicating the staff to do any cross-referencing with active cases or past cases in Travis County?
Yes, we have staff working on it. And we've worked with the investigation, and we'll be working with the U.S. Attorney's Office and bring appropriate state charges after when we get to that point. But it's a pending investigation for us, so we don't typically comment further than that.
Can you say that there are any real hits or potential hits? How should I describe that?
Well, the way you describe it is that there are Travis County charges filed, and it's a pending case for us, but we are working in collaboration with our federal partners. We'll make charging decisions in conjunction with them.
Any kind of unknown cases or unsolved cases that you're aware of in Travis County that this man may be linked to?
I don't know. I'm not able to answer that today.
Did he have any help? Are y'all looking at any other suspects?
Another thing I don't want to comment on today. Appreciate the question, but
Can y'all elaborate on Project Safe Child?
of course. So Project Safe Childhood is an initiative that was first started by the Department of Justice in 2006. And the point is to really focus federal resources on stopping child sexual abuse in our communities. I think it's been energized under the last 2 Attorney Generals, Attorney General Sessions and Attorney General Barr. We're really working hard to combat child sex abuse. I think probably some of you saw the prosecution we did up in Killeen that involved 60-year sentences, at least 25 victims as young as 14 months, this couple in Killeen. That was part of that too. There's also a ton of other cases that don't get a lot of headlines. They're not quite as many victims as these cases, but we're really focused on stopping child sexual abuse. And part of that is our partnerships with people like the Travis County DA's office, because under federal law, very little actual child sex abuse can be prosecuted. It usually has to have a connection to the internet or some other, what we call interstate commerce nexus. You can't just prosecute somebody molesting a child in a house at the federal level because it's not within the federal criminal statutes. So most of that is prosecuted at the state and local level. But when it starts to involve the internet distributing these pictures, which essentially victimize children for the rest of their lives because now their pictures are all over the internet, there's no way to stop it, that's when we get involved, and we're really trying to work with our state and local partners to crack down on child sexual abuse. And I've just been personally shocked. I was worked at Maine Justice for 5 years, but coming into the field, the amount of child sexual abuse in our communities, and bear in mind we're only seeing a small fraction of it that actually gets caught and goes federal, is just unbelievable. People that abuse their own children, allow others to abuse their own children, people that abuse numerous children, people that abuse children who are babies. It's really astonishing. I had an op-ed in the Express News a couple months ago on this, and it's just been shocking as a law enforcement person to me how much child sexual abuse there is out there. And bear in mind that a lot of these things don't get reported because the victims are too young to know that what's happening to them is wrong, or they're just scared to report it. So it's the actual incidence of it must be way larger than the amount we're prosecuting.
With that said, Mr. Bash, have you gone upstream? If he was allegedly uploading this information onto the web, have you all followed upstream? Are there going to be any other individuals caught up in this that we're going to be finding out about?
We always do our best to follow that. So if anyone's receiving that child pornography, possessing it, certainly if anyone, as the question before alluded to, is helping him produce it, those are all federal criminal offenses, and we're going to exhaust all our investigative resources to determine if anyone else committed an offense in connection with these pictures, images.
I notice in these dates of production, there's some dating back to 2014. There looks like there's a gap in between 2014 and 2017. Do you guys have any reason to believe that parents should be thinking, about something that might have happened to their child even before 2014 or in between that gap?
That's a fantastic question. Parents should be thinking even before 2014. You never know if this person or someone somehow associated with him might have been abusing kids before that time. So we want to cast a wide net here. Don't just limit yourself to recent years to a child who was in Hays County or Travis County. It could be anywhere in Central Texas. I mean, if you're in a different state and you're seeing this and you've seen this guy's picture around your children, we don't have any reason to believe that he was going around in different states. But if you do, please report it. The allegations on this person are serious, and there are a lot of them. So it's very possible that he was allegedly abusing many other people at different times in different places.
Can you say how quickly this all came together? Once in Hays County, we kind of figured out that this was a big deal. How quickly you guys were able to get
Well, this whole investigation was less than a year. So August 2018 is when he was arrested by the Hays County Sheriff's Department. We indicted him in June. An investigation this sprawling, that doesn't mean we couldn't have indicted him much earlier than that, but you want to make sure you get all the evidence that you need before the indictment comes in, that you're able to put up as many meritorious charges as you can. So it was less than a year, which is not a super long time, but we wanted to make sure we could get as much accountability as possible, and we knew he was in custody, of course, so it wasn't as if there was a continuing threat.
Sheriff Cutler, how soon after first learning, about this suspect was he arrested? How quickly did that come together?
The initial report of the suspicious circumstances report came in on July 18th, so it's almost a year ago. And then, as he said, it was in August as a result of the spun off into the investigation and to where he is today.
Any other questions?
Mr. Bash, I noticed that he's 25, right?
That's right.
So theoretically, he started this operation while he was 19, 20 years old. Has he given any kind of statement in regards that he was a victim of pornography and this was just part of the cycle?
Appreciate the question, but I definitely wouldn't want to comment on any custodial or non-custodial statements by the defendant, which of course could, in theory, play a role in a trial.
So you have reason to believe he could have started this while he was still a minor?
Can't comment on that, but speaking generally, that is often true of predators, that they started when they were a minor, and certainly true of predators that some of them were victims themselves. Of course, that doesn't excuse making 20 or 30 other victims.
I
I don't think we know his. I don't know off the top of my head his occupation, so I don't know. I don't know the answer to that if he had one.
Is there someone that could speak to maybe the signs that parents would be able to notice if their kids had been abused?
Someone want to speak to that? I mean, I think that I don't think parents should be engaged. Okay, go ahead.
I would just say in
Can you say your
general,
name, please?
Cindy Cantu. with the Center for Child Protection. I would just say in general that parents should be aware of any behavioral changes that they see with their children and to listen to them. And if they do hear something, to please make a report.
And what should parents ask them?
They really shouldn't ask them anything. They should listen to their child, because we wouldn't want them to ask any questions that may suggest information. So we prefer that when children are giving statements that it's a clean statement, so without suggestion. Just really to listen and to support.
How would you suggest a parent to approach their child if they have a suspicion about them being a victim?
So in general, I think that a parent could ask them if there was anything that has happened to them that they feel unsafe about, and then really encourage that child to trust that parent to talk with them. If they don't feel that the parent is someone that they can talk to, then to find a safe person, maybe a therapist or somebody else that the parent trusts that the child can talk to.
And I just want to emphasize, parents shouldn't do the detective work of sexual abuse investigators. They can just, if your child knew this person, if you knew this person, you should reach out to the FBI at the email address we're going to provide, or call your local police department. Even if your child turns out not to have been a victim, your child might have been a witness. That's going to be important. The child might know this person had an inappropriate friendship with somebody else. And so if your child knew this person, you should contact the authorities. It could turn out that you don't have anything useful for the authorities, but it's better to be safe than sorry, and we wouldn't encourage parents to undertake their own sexual abuse investigation beyond what they would ordinarily do as a parent, because that's really the job for the professionals.
Have y'all interviewed witnesses who aren't necessarily victims?
I don't want to get into what the investigations we've done. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today. It's really important to me that local media cover this, especially given the request for information from the public here, and to acknowledge the work of all our law enforcement partners. They've done a fantastic job on this case, and hopefully will continue their work in this prosecution. So I appreciate everybody coming out today. Thank you.